as we get started taking a look at the documents that early founders in the US colonies used to create government, we have to do a little review on our philosophers. So we had Hobbes, who believed that humans were naturally cruel, selfish, and hungry for power, and he felt that people needed to be protected from themselves, thus the need for government. Locke believed that people were born with natural rights like life, liberty, and property, and Locke argued that if kings could be overthrown, they should be overthrown if they violated people's rights. And then we had Montesquieu, who believed in separation of powers and to divide power among three branches of government. This way, the government could never get too powerful without being checked. So looking at these philosophers, we're going to see their influence in some of these early documents that start creating a government for the US colonies.
I didn't like him anyway. He wasn't right in the hat.
Oh my gosh, I love him. Isn't he perfect?
You give me my...
So today's focus is to analyze the natural rights philosophy and the nature of government expressed in the Declaration of Independence. So we're going to be taking a look at those philosophers and seeing how they impacted the US colonies' Declaration of Independence. And we're also going to evaluate that declaration. We will also be taking a look at the United States Constitution. So we're going to look at that influence from those philosophers again when the US colonies created their first governing document, the Articles of Confederation, and then on to their US Constitution, which is the current governing document that we use here in the United States. There are plenty of reasons why the founders would be looking at these early philosophers when thinking of our own new government. The colonists were wanting to break away from England for quite a while. The reasons being there was no representation in Parliament, there was no colonist that was actually working to make up laws for themselves in Parliament. They were being taxed for wars that England was having that they had no impact on or influence in. And the colonists wanted to make their own decisions. Colonists also did not like having the crowns interfering with their business. And so because of all of these reasons, the colonists decided to break away from England, but in order to do that, they first needed to draft a Declaration of Independence. And so we rely heavily on these philosophers, especially Locke, as Thomas Jefferson drafts the Declaration of Independence. So on July 4, 1776, those fed-up colonists used the Declaration of Independence to establish them as free and independent states separate from Great Britain. But now that they were separate, they needed a document or some type of a structure to distribute power within these now states.
I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
By March 1st, 1781, the founders had also drafted the Articles of Confederation, becoming the first Constitution of the United States of America. The purpose was to create a confederation of states that were as independent as possible, yet still had the responsibilities, and to create some type of government structure for the colonies. Most people saw the Articles of Confederation as a way to distribute power, but to keep most power within the states themselves. The United States recognized early on that there was a problem with the Articles of Confederation. Well, several problems, actually. Each state only had one vote in Congress regardless of its population size. Congress had no power to tax the people. Congress did not have the power to regulate foreign or interstate commerce and trade. There was no executive branch to enforce any acts passed by Congress. There was no national court system. Amendments to the Articles of Confederation required a unanimous vote, and laws required a 9/13 majority to pass in Congress. There was a lot of trials and tribulations, but the Articles of Confederation ultimately just did not give enough power to the central federal government, leaving the state governments to fend for themselves in a lot of situations.
Broke in every type of way. I got broken pockets, a broken heart, and my phone screen just broke.
The last straw that's going to cause the United States to review the Articles of Confederation is going to be Shay's Rebellion. Shay's Rebellion was a revolt when the Massachusetts legislature had taxed land in order to pay off the state's foreign debts. This revolt or rebellion rose up and led to economic chaos, and the national government was not even able to gather a military force big enough to put down the rebellion. causing us to realize that maybe the Articles of Confederation needed to give more power to the federal government and maybe balance out some power at the state and local government level. An initial meeting is held at the Annapolis Convention in 1786, and it's a meeting to have a meeting about the Articles of Confederation, which will be at the Philadelphia Convention. At the Philadelphia Convention in 1787, they met to review the Articles of Confederation, but decided, you know what? This is pretty bad, let's just start over. So they actually drafted a new document, the Constitution of the United States, which is the document that we use today. There were 55 delegates and 12 of the 13 states represented. Unfortunately, Rhode Island was a no-show, but we did in fact draft a constitution which greatly reduced the issues of power distribution, making the federal government more powerful with state and local governments having powers as well, and it also will set up a series of checks and balances and separation of powers.
Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it! Fix it, fix it, fix it!
While there is a separate video for the breakdown of the Constitution, it is important and noteworthy to look at the framers of the Constitution. These were the delegates to the Constitutional Convention who framed and drafted the U.S. Constitution. Some of the famous framers were George Washington and James Madison, who is considered the father of the Constitution. And noticeably absent from this convention were Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson, and John Adams. Hope you enjoyed the brain food. See you soon.